Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Development Review Board meeting for the town of Essex. Today's date is Thursday, November 6th. It's 6:31 p.m. and we're going to get the meeting underway. Start off with, I'll ask for board members and staff just to announce who's here this evening for the record. I'll start with you, Kent.
Hello, I'm Kent Johnson, Town Planner.
Brittany McGregor, Planning Technician.
Nick Martin, Board Member.
Stephanie Bixby, Board Member.
Ian Carroll, Board Member.
Sharon Zukowski, Board Member.
Hubie Norton, Board Member. Dustin Brousseau, Board Member.
Excellent. Thank you. First item that we have is agenda additions or changes, and I do have a change that was submitted to me earlier today. Before we get to that, does anyone else have any other additions or changes? Kent, Brittany?
We're removing the executive session.
Correct. We're removing the executive session. Unfortunately, this evening, the executives of the executive session could not appear, so that will be rescheduled to our knowledge at some point. Also suggested is that we have several items on our agenda this evening that have been continued or moved to different dates. The first 4 items will not be heard this evening because they were either withdrawn or continued to separate dates, January 15th and December 4th. That leaves 3 items left on our agenda this evening, and it was suggested that we move the boundary line adjustment up to now 7A. That would make the boundary line adjustment 7A, continuation from April 3rd for Dousevicz 7B, and the final PUD plan amendment for Leclerc Woods to be C. That's the suggestion that I have at this point. Any other updates from anyone else here on the board? Hearing none. Any add?
Did you want to add the other business?
Other business is already there. So I just was going to add during other business. Then we're going to talk about perhaps the 53 Center Road extension. Correct. There was an extension that was potentially going to be talked about this evening. We talked about that yesterday. Perhaps not. Perhaps it will move to December 4th.
Can you refresh my memory? What
Center Road
that you're talking about?
Yep. We talked yesterday about there was a sketch plan that is nearing maturity that we were going to either discuss an extension for, or that was going to get moved to December 4th.
I believe it'll be in December.
Yeah.
Expires like the 6th.
Okay. Yeah, it was like the 11th, I think, is what it was. So, okay, fine. And then the other item for business that we have is DRB business, specifically about our training that's coming up in our next plan, or our next meeting, rather. So that said, any discussion with the board on this? I'll take a motion to approve the amended agenda as stated. So
moved. Second.
Okay, moved by Dusty, seconded by Hubie. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the amended agenda say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Excuse me. 6-0 because we don't have Trevor this evening. So thank you. All right. That puts us up to the public to be heard section, and we have some public here this evening. We have some public online. Oh, the minutes I actually have.
Oh, wait, no, you're right.
So I was following the agenda.
Thank you.
The public to be heard section. So this is the time when the audience and those online have an opportunity to talk about anything that is not on this evening's agenda or any consent agenda item, which we do not have a consent agenda item this evening. I will remind folks that if you would please make sure that you have your cell phones turned off here in the audience. And those of you that are online, make sure that you're muted while you're not speaking. And I would also just remind everybody that we are all friends and neighbors here, and that everyone has an opinion. No one is more important than anyone other. And I will ask those of you online to raise your hands if you plan on speaking this evening. Same with those in the audience. If you have anything that you may or may not want to speak about this evening, I'd ask that you raise your hand and take the oath. Okay, I'm seeing 3 hands online, and I see a few here in the audience. 4 hands online. So I will ask, do you affirm that the evidence that you are planning to give this evening to the cause under consideration shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Thank you. Thank you. I've got Lorraine, Brittany, Chris, and I had one other there for a second that I saw. Lois, thank you. Great, thank you. Hands can be down. Okay, public to be heard. Let's start with anyone, a hand in the evening. Sure, why not? Come right up and you can sit right down in the chair. And if you wouldn't mind making sure that you identify yourself to let us know where you live, and speak into the microphone would be a huge help so that the audience can hear you as well.
I've heard that drill before.
I'm sure you have.
Thank you very much, everyone. Ann Miller, Town of Essex. I'm here tonight. I know you guys have seen me at other meetings, and we are all neighbors, and I am here tonight. Good evening, DRB members, town staff, and neighbors out here. We know the development. I'm here tonight to speak on your behalf. I want to uphold your role, and I want you to hear it from me as someone who has sometimes been a critic of your work. The Development Review Board, we know, is a group of local volunteers that listen to the evidence, apply the town rules, and make fair decisions about development in Essex. When the DRB does its job well, it protects our town plan, it treats applicants and residents fairly, and it keeps decisions based on rules, not politics and relationships. This whole process really only works when town leadership also supports the DRB's decision. State law gives you, your authority, the DRB, the job of making these calls, and it requires clear written decisions that can be appealed if needed. When our town leaders or lawyers step away from these decisions, suggest alternative solutions, it confuses the rules, it weakens the case record, and it makes people lose trust in the process. These harms are not kind of theoretical. People stop showing up. We're lucky we have a lot of people here today, but people start to feel like the process is corrupt. It hurts the quality and legitimacy of future decisions. Appeals start happening more often, and they get more expensive, and then the town has legal bills, and we're already complaining about our taxes. And thirdly, volunteers are harder to recruit. You guys have an enormous job. I know how much blood, sweat, and tears you've put into decisions this year. And few people will want to serve on a board whose decisions are not backed by its own town leadership. I think that's a really important point. So we know that your job is to get solid proof before approval. And when needed, you add some conditions that can be enforced. But the promise is to fix it later with post-construction traffic monitoring or other types of runoff monitoring. Those don't really serve as a community safeguard. They don't replace the missing information, and they don't meet the requirement in the law that the decisions be based on the application record. The Vermont Supreme Court has already made this decision very clear in the Heinsberg-Hanford case in March of 2017, where it said that the key evidence and mitigation must be in place before the approval so that the public can fully participate. I want to say to you, I know you've seen me here on other cases, this is not about any single project. It's about keeping our system honest and strong. The right path is simple. You all require full evidence during the application. You make clear findings tied to our own rules. And then all of us as town residents and town leadership, we stand behind the DRB's decisions. If we don't back you up and we undercut you, what is the point of that process? So I'm here to say that this is how we keep the public trust, that we avoid unnecessary legal fights, and we make sure that the growth in our town follows our plan. This is how we protect due process and the future of our town. I'm here to say that I am here to support you all. I don't want to see you undercut, and I urge all of the residents who might be listening to this to contact your select board and let them know that their job is to uphold the decisions of the DRB. If people don't like the decisions of the DRB, there's an appeal process, and that should be used, but we shouldn't be trying to go around that process. Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you again in another meeting.
Thank you for your comments. Appreciate it. We'll go online here. I see Lorraine. Would you unmute, turn your camera on, put your hand down, and let us know what you have to say tonight?
Hand down. Hi, thank you, Ian. I would also like to support the DRB's decision regarding the Scannell case. I'm concerned about the potential renegotiation coming from our leadership, from our staff. I'm concerned because I also don't think that Scannell acted in good faith, which was demonstrated at the last meeting. When we do have a traffic expert, we're very fortunate to have a traffic expert on our DRB. That's very unusual. And I find it very difficult to believe that Amazon did not have information on other builds like the one that they want to bring to Essex. I'm concerned that we're not well equipped to negotiate with someone who's not acting in good faith. I would like to see the process play out. I would like to see the DRB decision supported and not undermined. I also am very concerned, having been through the decision years ago in Saxon Hill, which greatly undermined a lot of our faith. Many of us are still here, and this kind of feels like a repeat of what happened during our PDI when in executive session a settlement was agreed upon. And we struggle as well with some of that settlement in terms of how the settlement fleshed out, because there wasn't really enough oversight in terms of it being in our best interest. So I please ask that I will be writing to the select board too, that our staff support our DRB decision and don't take this on their own. My other concern too was, I understand that we got word from, I think what's the lobby arm that the municipalities use, that we use for training?
We use the Vermont League of Cities and Towns.
Yes, thank
That's
you.
who's coming to.
VCLT. Thank you. That they also recognized that we weren't using the consent agenda properly. So I also was just wondering what we're going to do with, I think there was a Thompson Drive that was passed on the consent agenda, which leaves out people on potential interested parties from the appeal process. So I was just wondering if there was any kind of word on what we're going to do, if there was anything that was decided on items that were on consent agenda. Unfortunately, the DRB hasn't been in play for very long, so I don't think there would be a lot of cleanup, but it does leave me wondering about some of the PC decisions that were made. And then the other concern I had too was I wasn't sure where we stood with the road for the chemo drive, in terms of, was the fire department on board or not, and did we ever do a waiver for the road? I don't remember finding a waiver for the road in itself. So those are some of the public questions that I have as a member of the public. Thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate the comments. Direct questions like that can just be emailed in to community development, and they can certainly answer those for you, Lorraine. Thank you. Anybody else in the room here? Yes, sir. Thank you. If you'd make sure that you'd speak into the mic, if you wouldn't mind identifying yourself and where you live.
Robert LaLance at West Sleepy Hollow Road, and I just want to thank you for your work and support Ann Miller's comments that she said. It's exactly what I feel. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, anybody else? Anyone online? Seeing none. And we will move on out of the public to be heard to the approval of the meeting minutes. And do we have any updates other than what had already been sent in for the meeting minutes? Hearing none.
I have a question.
Okay.
Line 86.
86. The motion passed 6-0.
Okay, I guess I'm not sure the sequencing here. What does that line? What motion passed 6-0?
I think we were going to end up hearing the application, a full application for the footpath.
But it was rescheduled. So how could we have passed the motion when we said it was going to be rescheduled? The paragraph above there said the application will be rescheduled.
Voted on it.
We voted on
Rescheduled.
rescheduling it as because it came as a consent agenda item, but then we were
Okay,
concerned, which
so
the applicant wasn't aware was going to be canceled that evening, and because it had been warned, we didn't cancel it that evening. But
okay, so I guess that's what's missing then. There should be a line in there that say motion was made by such and seconded by such, and then the motion was passed. Am I missing something, or?
I think
nope,
you're right.
I think you're right.
It's not clear.
No, it should be added.
There is a typo on line 115, but
Well, let's
no
get
big,
it.
no big whoop.
115. What's the typo? Remnants.
It says earth materials were placed on the loot.
Yeah.
I think they meant lot. Never know. Never know. Maybe it was loot.
One person's lot is another person's loot.
Loot, it could be.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else, Hubie?
No.
Nick, anything?
Lines 28 and lines 51, it only mentions a motion was made and seconded, but we don't know who because it's not listed. Do we know who those were? Yep, right here.
So just to recap, line 28, agenda item 4, approval of minutes, board member moved and DRB member second a motion. It doesn't list who they are, so we should add that detail.
Correct.
Okay. And then you said that was 28, and what was the other one?
Line
51?
51.
A motion, yep, okay. Who, correct, on both of those.
That's all I had.
Stephanie?
No.
None?
81 as well
81 as well?
already.
We just talked about that one, yeah. Yep. Sharon?
Nope.
Hubie, did you have anything else?
No.
Dusty?
No.
So we will, I'll take a motion to move these minutes we're going to have to send them back and have those updated before we can approve them. Okay. No motion necessary. Okay. All right. That being said, let's move on to the fun part. Public hearing. As stated earlier, we've updated the agenda. So 7A, the first item we'd like to hear this evening is going to be the boundary line adjustment for Robert Goodman and Marty and Mary McLaughlin to requesting a boundary line adjustment between 320 and 323 Lost Nation Road in the Conservation C1 District. 320 Lost Nation Road will receive 0.05 acres from 323 Lost Nation Road. 323 Lost Nation Road will decrease in size from 54.3 to 54.25 acres. 320 Lost Nation Road will increase from 59.3 to whopping 59.35 acres. Kent, can I get a staff? Do you have any staff items on this?
No, I don't see any concerns with this.
Any concern? No.
No.
Would this have been something we might have considered as a consent agenda item in the old days?
That's right, and I believe normally this would just be something that could be administratively done.
Yeah.
Except Essex has a rule to bring this to the DRB.
Yep, that's fine. Thank you. Are you here to speak on behalf of the applicants of this?
Yes, but I don't have anything to say.
Yeah, fair enough. That's great.
Who is that?
Yeah.
Brian
For the-
Courier, O'Leary Burke, representing the Goodmans.
Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. Let's go around the room. Dusty, anything?
None.
Hubie?
On the site plan, the proposed conditions are applicants shall ensure installation of concrete monuments. The site plan shows a reinforced pin and so on, so it's a minor detail, but
Yeah. For this sort of thing, we do rebars with our surveyor's cap
Yeah.
on top.
right. But the conditions are for concrete monuments. So.
Okay. We would ask that get changed to reflect the plat.
Okay.
So you would prefer that to be the rebar and plastic cap?
Rebar meets our standards. Concrete monuments are typically for road right-of-ways.
So you're not agreeing with the Town of Essex official subdivision regulations, section 3.11?
I know it says concrete marker, but surveyors practice by a certain set of rules. Rebars with our surveyor's cap on them are used townwide and have been for a very long time.
I understand, but I guess the question is, do we have that as a condition or not as a condition? That's the question for the board, I suppose.
If you want to remove the word concrete, we'd be happy with the condition.
You're saying those are regulations, though.
I'm saying that the Town of Essex official subdivision regulations, section 3.11, as shown in the proposed conditions, says it's supposed to be a concrete monument.
So we should do that because it's
That's
our
that's
regulation.
that's
That's
what
how
I'm
the
saying,
regulation
yeah.
reads. Unless
We're going to waive something.
we gotta wait.
Maybe we should go with this small
Yeah.
thing for once.
Yeah.
So it's not a small thing. Driving a rebar is a lot different than
Yeah,
setting.
I know it's a lot easier.
Oh, yeah. No, I understand.
Done plenty in my day. So we'd appreciate understanding in this case that maybe the subdivision regs are outdated in this field.
I'm not about to change them.
Okay.
I guess that's something for the PC to
Yeah.
work on. I don't think we can just make a rule.
I don't disagree with you, okay?
Brian?
No, I agree too.
Yeah.
Please.
Can I just show to Brian what the regulations show here? So it shows a few different options for you.
Okay. We'd pick the one that isn't a concrete monument. Yeah, lot markers consisting of metal pipes or rebar with a minimum outside diameter of 3 inches. Yeah. So
Okay,
rebars
so
are
that's
allowed.
included in regular.
Yep.
So we need to strike number 4 or change the wording of number 4. of
Strike the word
conditions.
concrete.
Strike the word concrete.
Been doing this for a while. Can say that's never
Oh,
come up.
No, I know, well, I'm just saying, if we're gonna have rules and we're gonna include them in these kind of conditions, let's
Yep.
be right about it.
Yep.
It'll probably help the applicant in the long run.
Yeah,
Actually, we can strike the concrete monuments and the word "and."
It's not even in.
So it would be installation of lot markers to the standard specified.
yep, there you go.
And if we can change that to 3.10 instead of 3.11, because I don't find it as 3.11. Maybe mine's outdated.
Is it,
Yeah, actually, the numbering in our regulations have a few typos, so
Okay.
this is supposed to be 3.11.
Okay, thanks. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All set, Hubie?
yep,
Sharon?
Yes,
Yes, you're all set.
I'm very upset.
Okay. Stephanie?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Nick?
Nothing.
Okay. Take a motion to approve the application as presented with the adjustment that we're making to, was it item 4?
So moved.
Condition.
Condition.
Seconded.
Motion's made by Nick, seconded by Sharon. Any further discussion?
Just for clarity, since we are hearing these as a public hearing, it is enlisted under section 7 as public hearing. Should not we open this to the public?
Yes.
Sure, absolutely. I'll take a motion to open it to public.
So moved.
Do we need to withdraw the first motion?
Yep. So Nick,
Withdrawn.
Sharon,
Want to say it again?
withdraw your second.
Yes.
Yes. And you're making a motion for opening to the public hearing.
I move to open the public hearing.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed. Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
So opens it to the public. So anyone in the public that would have any questions about this 0.05 acre subdivision change? Seeing no hands in the room.
I move we close the public hearing.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion's been made by Dusty, seconded by Nick. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the site plan, the site adjustment, or excuse me, the boundary adjustment?
With the adjustment that we had discussed on item.
With the condition 4.
Right.
Thank you.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Nick. Motion made by Nick,
Second.
seconded by Sharon. Any further discussion here on the board? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. We move on to item 7B, which is now the continued from April 3, Dousevicz Incorporated. It's a conceptual discussion of a project at 21 Upper Main Street, located in the mixed-use planned unit development, or mixed PUD, MU-PUD, and the business design control overlay. Business is BDC overlay. To construct either 2 fourplex residential buildings, 8 units total, or 1 8-unit residential building and associated parking. So this is a conceptual plan. And staff, we'd love to hear your initial report.
Public Works provided a few comments about it. One of the comments that they made is there's just not a lot of detail at this point to really comment in depth with, and that's my feeling also from the community development department. There's just not a huge level of detail. A couple things that I had mentioned last time are the same for this time, that since it is in the business design control district, that those items would need to be addressed when the application is submitted. There's regulations in the zoning regulations about that, and it also references the ETC Next plan that goes into more details. One other thing that was not mentioned before that's new is the town was recently awarded grant funding from the state to put a shared use path along the front of this property. The town's just beginning that project, which will start with a design phase over the next year or year and a half. At this point, the design is not started yet. As part of the scoping phase that already happened previously, it was estimated that a little sliver of land would need to be acquired from the front of this property to be able to install the shared use path. My understanding is that it would need to be on property that's publicly owned, not an easement area. Though I still need to confirm that, but that's my understanding. Currently, there's a 15-foot wide town-owned easement across the front of this property, or there's the intention to have an easement there. I believe it already exists. It looks like from the scoping work that was an estimate that was already done is that the sliver on the northern part would only be about 2 feet wide maybe, and on the southern part closer to Orleans Road would be closer to 10 feet wide. So as we go through the design phase for that project, we'll know exactly what's needed here. I think for the purpose of this project, as long as they don't build anything within that area that would impact the future trail work, like, for example, street trees, shouldn't be in an area that then later we'd have to move the street trees to somewhere else. So that's something that we could figure out later, but that's just something to have a heads up for going forward. Otherwise, I don't have anything further at this time.
Okay, thanks. Board members, questions for staff? Nick, I'll start on your side.
No questions.
Stephanie,
No questions.
Sharon,
No questions.
Hubie,
No, no question.
Dusty.
Is there, from discussions with town departments to this point, is there a feeling for the 8-plex or the 2-4-plex?
As far as I know, there's no particular preference one way or the other.
I have none then. That's it.
Thank you. Alrighty, let's check in with the applicant. If you
Thank
wouldn't mind identifying yourself once again for the record.
Certainly. Brian Courier, O'Leary Burke Civil Associates, representing Dousevicz, Inc.
Thanks.
So we're in front of you for this plan at the beginning of the year. Still conceptual. That's why there's a lack of detail. Generally, what we want feedback on is how this board is interpreting the design control overlay district. Last time, most of our conversation was around parking and where that's required to be situated. The only plan we had last time was the townhome version. We think it's more in line with the scale of Streamside Village. The one big 8-plex buildings, certainly less so. Now it is in the B1 district, which last time we spoke about, doesn't allow single or duplex units, only multifamily. All right, so we thought the townhomes were a scale that fit the neighborhood, as much as a B1 zone can that directly abuts an R2 zoned neighborhood. So we provided the 8-plex to show that parking could be shown in between that 8-plex structure and the duplex, also on 15 to the north of us. But we don't like the massing of a large 8-plex building in that range. We still maintain that just because the garages face Route 15 in the townhome layout, last time we talked about a rec path and substantial screening between 15 and the garages. But as the garages are essentially a covered parking area for those residential units, we thought that that met the intent of the business design overlay district. Something new that I came across was in the business design overlay district. It starts on page 32. Talks about, the goals and objectives, and then it talks about some of the general provisions. We have to provide elevations and what have you. There's a lot in there because it's mostly for town center about modifications of existing structures. Obviously nothing we have here. But when you get to section D, where the parking in the rear and the side of the building is, under D, design requirements, it specifically lists all the zoning districts where those apply. Center, RB, MXDC. Now I understand it says MXD PUD. However, this is the B1 zone within that district. AR, R2, and R3. So it doesn't list B1 there. There is precedent for this. If you look at the MXD PUD zoning page that's on 26, essentially all that district does is show you a more blown up version of where the town center is. And the B1 zone includes, like, the Essex Center, Lang Farm. It includes, like, CCOM. It includes CVS. CCOM, CVS not as new, but CCOM being very new, certainly has parking in between the building and Route 15. It's also in the design overlay district. So I believe that that's a great example of what I'm saying, that since the B1 zone is not explicitly listed, We certainly have to provide building elevations for your review and approval, and we certainly intend on doing so. I just don't believe the parking requirement having at the rear or the side of the building, which is located in section D of these regulations, applies to a lot within the B1 zone.
Okay.
So I think we certainly comply anyway. But I thought I'd mention that as I feel there is precedent and it is applicable that B1 is not explicitly listed in that zone.
Okay. And are you here specifically trying to?
Well, that's a big item for us. There's a 75-foot setback to Route 15, and there's a 75-foot setback to Route 15 and a 50-foot setback to Orleans Road. So, given those constraints, and we're not asking for waivers or variances of any sort here, the buildings have to lie within those setback requirements. In the B1 zone, there's a 0 setback on the sides and rears, but I got a 75 and a 50-foot front to contend with. So the access to those buildings has to come from 15. So it's a pretty important piece of the puzzle for us, and we don't want to go into full designs with that question mark hanging out there.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, Kent.
I think that either of these design concepts are approvable, depending on which you'd prefer to do. On page 32, where it talks about the district goals and objectives, it does mention that parking should be underneath, behind, or to the side of buildings to the extent possible to reduce its visual and physical prominence. Where it's visible, it should be screened with landscaping or hardscapes such as shrubs or sitting walls, etc. So it looks like in either of these cases, you can provide some screening to help shield the parking area. In both cases, the parking area and the circulation are going to be visible from the main road and would require some screening.
Yep.
So I think either concept is possible. And then also to speak to the massing of the building, whether it's an 8-plex or the 2 4-plexes, because it's in the business design control district, it does talk about the architectural design quite a bit and wanting to have forms that are not boxy and to vary the massing and to have good architectural elements like porches and other aspects like that. It goes into a considerable amount of detail in the zoning, and then the zoning also references the ETC Next plan, which goes into quite a bit more detail to try to provide good design guidance as you're coming up with a design for your building. But I think either of these two concepts could work depending on what you'd prefer to do.
Thank you.
Kent, just a quick question. If you just remind me, and more for the public, this is a conceptual design, which has how many steps before?
Since the applicant is not going to be subdividing the property, which is my understanding,
That's right.
it would just have a one-step site plan approach. So
After
before you're going to the effort of putting together a site plan and going through that one step, you're using this conceptual discussion to make sure that you're on the right path going forward before you go to all the effort of creating plans and then hit a wall, realizing that that's not what the DRB would like to see.
That's right. There's no sketch for site plan.
Yeah.
And also what you're trying to say is an interested person could not establish themselves as an interested person attending this meeting alone.
There's no decision or approval.
Right, I just want to make
happening
that
at this
clear.
meeting.
Correct. It's
Right.
really more about a concept,
Exactly.
and whether or not this will fit within the regulations. I just wanted to be clear that anything that is approved this evening as a
It's not
concept,
approved.
there's no approval, but
Exactly.
so there isn't anything that's going to happen immediately coming from this.
No, I
It's
think it
really
just
more
get a
about-
good feeling if
Correct.
it goes well.
Yep. I have questions, but I'll start off with everyone else. Dusty, do you have any questions about this?
Questions? No. I think the idea of the fourplexes is more in character with the immediate neighborhood than a single large entity would be. I think a single large entity would be out of character with the other residences that are nearby, and the fourplexes would allow there to be a lot more individual presentation, and allow for more of the neighborhood characters. So I would be very supportive of the dual 4 units and it's not a single 8 unit.
Okay. Thank you. Dusty?
I'm right here.
Sorry. QB.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious, with the plan showing the 8-plex, why the 8-plex wasn't moved to the back of the lot and having the parking up front? That would reduce the length of the driveway and so on.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Also, with the way the contours are in the land there, it would move that building, it would drop it some.
Yep.
Away from Orleans Road.
Yep.
I don't agree with Dusty 100%, but the idea of form and elevations and so on, I think there could be some creativity with an 8-plex. Excuse me, possibly, what about 2 4-plexes? Again, moved back and having the parking, excuse me, towards the front. Again, as Kent mentioned, that can be handled with screening and so on, so that it's not would not be offensive. I'd also the Public Works had a comment about the access road or the driveway, moving it down to the tangent to improve sight distance. That would appear that it would require some acquiring some land, I guess, get an easement or whatever. Is that a problem?
I mean, we can make the request, but it's a lot with frontage on a local road. The state is going to require we come off the local road. We won't get a curb cut on Route 15. So we'll work with Public Works and the HOA to make it as best as we can, but we can't mandate moving the access any further than our lot. So.
Okay, maybe I misinterpreted. I thought that they were talking about moving the access
Driveway.
further, the driveway further down Orleans Road.
They were, but if it's off our lot, I can't control an abutting landowner's decisions. So I'm saying we can certainly make the request and work to see if we can get it moved further down Orleans Road. But it's an existing lot in town. It has to be provided access.
Okay, no, that's all I've got for the moment.
I just have to say ditto. I prefer the 8-plex, and I have the same concern about the sight distance.
So preferring the 8-plex versus the
Right.
2 4s. Okay. Stephanie?
I prefer the 2 4s. I think it's kind of just going to ditto Dustin. I think it has better character than a box building. I see a lot of box buildings in my world. And even with their architectural design, they're still not that attractive. So I think that the 2 4-plexes bring more neighborhood character.
Sorry, that's actually what I meant. I was just,
Oh,
I had a brain fart.
okay, not the 1
Yeah.
8.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, these 8 things. here.
Those 8 things,
Yeah.
but not the big square.
No,
one.
I do not like the big square.
Okay.
Okay. So that's where I'm leaning towards that one.
Great. Nick?
I'll be brief. I'll just ditto Dusty and Steph's recommendations or opinions.
Thanks. From my perspective, I agree. I'm more in line with the 2 4-plexes, in keeping with the neighborhood more so than the 1 8-plex.
Yep.
I'm wondering if I do understand that the fire department and the town have talked a little bit about the idea of adjusting the driveway piece, and I understand that you can't build where you don't own. I'm wondering if perhaps that the proposal might end up potentially losing one of the properties to do a 4 and a 3, so that you have more room to be able to make those turns work. But I understand this is concept as
Sure.
well. So
Yep. I think it's more a concern of where the curb cut's located,
correct.
not necessarily the radius is.
Correct. Yep. but beyond that, I think, what's shown here for the two fourplexes,
Yeah.
and the adjustments that have been made with the screening, obviously with Kent's comments about being sure to leave the
Yep.
property for the shared use path that
Yep.
is necessary, is more to
Yep.
my liking. So,
Thank you.
yep. Any further comments here from the board? I would take a motion to open up public hearing for this.
I had just one other
Okay.
comment. Excuse me. I know that stormwater is a concern, and it does appear to me that the 8 duplexes, the two groups of 4, okay, does appear to have more impervious service involved than with the single 8plex. And again, as I mentioned about the potential of moving the parking. Again, as far as stormwater control, that's going to be a big part of this. And right now, there's a lot of impervious service involved there. So I'm not sure there's a whole lot of room there to do what you got to do, but
Yep.
it'll be creative, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Good? All set, Hubie?
Yep.
I'll take a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Moved by Dusty. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Nick. All those in favor of opening the public hearing, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. So at this time, we can actually take some comments from the public. If anyone online I see one online, and if I have any hands in the room as well, we'll start with the hand that rose first, which was online. And I'll start with George. George, you are recognized. If you could, thank you. You can take your hand down now, and just if you wouldn't make sure that you would identify yourself and where you live.
Hi, my name is George Cow. I live at 71 Orleans. Just some quick comments, concerns. I understand this is a conceptualization. I recommend this conceptualization just be scrapped. I think the key is that ownership. There's no ownership and there's a lack of transparency. As a resident of 71 Orleans, I want to state for the record that the HOA has not been handed over to us. It was supposed to be done when I closed. I was last house. It was supposed to be handed over to us May 31st of 2024. Probably intentional. Now that's how I feel. Now, the developer doesn't own the land, doesn't own the sewer capacity, and doesn't have the rights to make this decision. And that's why I'm recommending that this conceptualization should be considered for just scrapped. It's incomplete, lacks transparency, doesn't really address the key concerns of the storm water, road ownership, or impacts of our future HOA. And I'll let the rest of my neighbors comment on everything else. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. I want to make sure that I'm clear about this, that it's a conceptual plan. So a lot of the details that you would normally hear, you will not see necessarily in a conceptual plan. This is really more about, will this work or not work, and is there a reason for further engineering to be done on this. But thank you for your comments and concerns. Do we have anybody here in the room? Yes, ma'am. Come on up, and if you wouldn't mind sitting in that other chair, if that's okay, and if you would speak into the microphone as well as identify yourself and where you live.
Sure. So my name is Megan Zimmerman. I'm also a resident of 23 Orleans Road. I'm going to ditto what George, our neighbor, had said. I think the big comment here that the neighbors, I'm kind of speaking on behalf of the neighborhood here, the conceptual discussion, the applicant altogether is trying to put this together using sewer allocation that does not belong to the applicant. And so we have real concerns about that. I understand that the developer thinks that they have a utility easement on the plan that allows for sewer connection, but we ultimately disagree with that. There's no specific reference to that in the documents, and no prior permit issued by the DRB. And I just want to note that the connection was never discussed with the DRB, and none is shown on the plan other than this like broad utility easement. So I know that's not necessarily something for you guys to decide, but I wanted to make you aware before we go further, since this is a conceptual discussion with the development. So yeah, we just don't believe that the allocation of capacity, as it's stated, is not the developers to grant. So we believe that the sewer allocation that's being used for this belongs to the HOA, which we since have elected an HOA board and moved it out of the control of the current applicant. And the land proposed for the development is basically only a part of the original land that was granted. And so even if there was sewer allocation, it's going to be much smaller than what's being proposed in 8 units. We also had a question about whether or not the road is a town road. There is a dedication, but I don't see a deed. And if it's not accepted by the town, then the HOA has, we have to agree to the connection, and we don't agree to the connection from Orleans Road. And so we would suggest that they go about trying to get access off of Route 15 instead. The one thing too is that JD Essex has not reserved any development rights within the development approval of Streamside Circle, and so we don't believe this leaves him an ability to convey or approve the connection. And so we really just worry about losing that sewer allocation that was granted to us for any further improvements we want to make on our own properties. And we also have concerns about the stormwater management. The HOA has a stormwater permit that requires mitigation of sediment release in stormwater ponds that require maintenance. The project doesn't appear to have any treatment proposed, even though the road appears to drain to the HOA system and the catch basins along the road. So at this point, we kind of have major questions and concerns about how stormwater would be treated, and don't agree with any permit that would require the HOA system to accommodate those additional flows. We are also just concerned about, to your point, and it sounds like everyone has kind of the similar opinions of the massing of buildings and how that impacts our open space and our common land and the undeveloped area. We just want to mention that it feels slightly we were concerned that and to George's point, we were concerned that the HOA hadn't been granted, and essentially this proposal is using the sewer allocation that should have been granted to the HOA. So we've since elected a board and taken control, and we understand that the JD Essex is in the process of giving the deeds over to the HOA. But I think it's worth noting that they did not have, they didn't have those things when they're proposing this at all. And so we just don't feel like it's kind of theirs to convey. The other piece that I do want to mention that I think is important here, and I recognize it's not necessarily, the DRBs, but, the applicant also told me, and this is me speaking for Megan Zimmerman, not necessarily the HOA, but he had told us when we were looking at purchasing this particular plot that 21 Upper Main Street, or that which is essentially across the street from us, would never be developed. And so it was part of why we chose that particular lot. We recognized that we are along Route 15 and we were comfortable knowing that the trees were going to continue to be maintained there. It was a big point of contention to make sure that those trees stayed where they were along Route 15 on our land. Also knowing that there was not going to be development across the street was a big part of us purchasing that lot as well. Because, you know, we don't want to lose the privacy that that lot provides for us to Route 15. So there's noise and there's, streetlights and road traffic and all of that as well. So those are my main concerns.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate your comments. Remind me, Kent, that I believe in this concept plan, the sewer and water allocation is not town of Essex. It's actually hooks up with the junction. Is that correct?
I believe that's correct.
So any of that would have to be negotiated with the junction as opposed to
In item 6.
in item 6.
Item 6, it calls it out.
Yep.
Just sewers from the.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Right.
Anybody else here in the room? Yes, ma'am. Come on up. How are you doing this evening?
Oh, good, thanks.
Okay.
Hi, thank you. I'm Susan Zimmerman. I'm at 77 Washington Circle, which is one of the streets in Streamside Village.
Sure.
I would just like to reiterate what Megan talked about. There's a concern over water and sewer allocation. The fact that the neighborhood has a set allocation and is responsible for maintaining the stormwater, and we don't feel that the applicant has any rights to that allocation. It sounded like from documents and from the staff reports that possibly that allocation was going to get used. And I just want to bring up a few other things that I noticed in the staff reports, particularly the fire department's concerns over the, I don't know how you say it, the distance from Route 15 to where the curb cutoff would be, and the fact that common land from the HOA would be needed to move that curb cut back. I also think that 8 units, which means 16 cars, is way too many to be parking on less than an acre of land, and UPS trucks and trash trucks and all that. It's too much. That's all I have.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone online? I see a hand. I recognize Chris. Chris, can you unmute, turn your camera on, put your hand down?
Hi, Chris Morrissey at 16 Washington Circle, and also very concerned about the sewer allocation, the safety of putting that many cars, etc., and also the road noise. So other people have spoken at length on this, so I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I think it's worth maybe calling out line 6 in the staff report. Just folks are continuing to focus on the sewer allocation, and line 6, as it reads, is that the applicant shall receive approval from the city of Essex Junction for additional sewer allocation. So I read that as that there is no intent to infringe upon the sewer allocation already provided to the neighborhood that's there.
Agreed. And a good portion of this would not be worked out at conceptual. It would
Well,
be
conceptual,
worked out.
yeah, and conceptual is not to work anything else, just really
Correct.
concept. But
right.
I think there should be some, for the folks in the audience, there should be some comfort in that you're concerned about the sewer allocation. This is not looking to infringe upon what has already been allocated for the current development.
Correct. Thank you.
Can I chime in though?
Please come right up. Come right up to the microphone, please. Again, restate.
Yeah, so Megan Zimmerman, 23 Orleans Road. The one thing is that if you look at the initial plans, I think it's a concern that there was, to George's point, kind of a lack of transparency, and the original plan was going to use the sewer allocation. He calls it out in his narrative that, you know, there's X amount of sewer left over. And I don't think it's acting in good faith, personally. That had that not been noted, this didn't come up at all in the last meeting, and could have moved to that, you know, approval stage without even recognizing that. And the other things I want to just make sure that I'm dittoing the concerns about the increase in traffic. That's a big one for us. I think it's a 25% increase in the amount of traffic onto our, within our neighborhood. So,
Okay, thank you. Ian, I recognize you online. Hand down, mic on, and camera on, please. Oh, it's not Ian.
This is Linda Wheeler. I'm here with Ian, and we're at 120 Orleans Road. And I agree with my neighbors on the many points that they have expressed. I am and have been very concerned about the parking, the space for parking. I know they're saying they park in their garage, but you know, a house has at least 2 cars, and then the lot's full, and then where does the snow go, and where do the guests go? And I do believe this is going to create a situation where a lot of people are parking along Orleans Road, right where we get in and off of Route 15, which is, it's already dangerous, and there's already been accidents there. Having more cars navigating that in such a tight space is going to create quite an issue. And that's part of this conceptual plan, is to address things like that. That may not work. And I don't think that's going to work.
Thank you. Anyone else here in the room? Yes, sir. Come on up.
Chris Vanamont, 64 Orleans Road. I just want to agree with all my neighbors with everything that they have said. And we were also told that they were not going to build on that. We live in the first house on the left-hand side. And we were told by the applicant that they weren't going to build on that property. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Seeing no other hands in the room, seeing no more online, let's kind of... Oh. Okay. Sure.
Hi. Adam Zimmerman.
It's
also-
George Callaghan, 71 Orleans.
Hang on one second. We have
Can you
someone
hear
here.
me? Sorry.
Thank
okay,
you.
my bad.
Hang on one second, George. Thank you.
Hi, yeah, Adam Zimmerman, 23 Orleans, so directly across from the proposed development. I agree with all the points of concern. I think, seconding Linda's point, like the traffic, as soon as anyone has a guest, the natural place that they're going to park is right on Orleans Road, right at the entrance to the neighborhood. I think that's not going to be particularly safe. I would question why a single-family home can't be built here instead. This is less than an acre of land that's surrounded on 3 sides by single-family homes and on the 4th side by a duplex. So it's unclear to me why this couldn't be a duplex or a single-family home, why it has to be higher density like this. It's kind of being tacked onto a neighborhood where everyone bought in under this plan of here's a neighborhood of single-family homes. And, I can't speak for the neighborhood, everyone, but a plurality of neighbors that I've talked to feel very baited and switched by this. This isn't the neighborhood that we bought into, and this was never part of the plan. Everyone was told this lot would never be developed. And instead of it, being an additional house that's being added on to the existing neighborhood, it's 8 units crammed onto a very small lot. So it's unclear to me why this can't just be another single-family home in the neighborhood. I'd also say that I think this deserves a noise and traffic study for the neighborhood. This is going to remove trees that screen the majority of residents on Orleans Road from Route 15. So a lot of people are going to be suddenly on Route 15 when they had thought, buying their home, like myself, that they really weren't going to be visible from all of the traffic passing on Route 15. The traffic study in particular, when the neighborhood was approved, the proposed intersection was given a rating of C. That's, on an alphabet scale. That was in 2019. I think 2017. Thank you. Route 15 has only gotten busier since then, so this is adding more traffic. I think it's worth reevaluating and looking at the safety factor there. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, let's pull it back to the board. Nick, questions or comments for applicant staff?
Did you want to recognize George a
Oh, I'm
second
sorry.
time?
George, you were.
Or if
Yeah, my computer died. So, George, you wanted to make sure we had the correct address?
No, I just had a comment to reinforce the concern that after hearing everybody on Orleans and Washington Circle, that transparency has always been a concern here. And, I just want to say that that needs to be considered with this conceptualization. If the actions or any reflection that this conceptualization may not be as transparent as well. So it needs a higher level of scrutiny. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Not seeing any hands on the screen. Not seeing any more hands here in the room. Let's bring this back to the board. Nick?
I would only say that a lot of the details that some of the neighbors, and I'm sure that the board would want to see, will present itself in future meetings. So if moving forward, the applicant has that opportunity to present its case and what the intent is, and more details would be provided at that time. That's all I have.
Thank you. Stephanie?
Yeah, kind of ditto Nick. Like I hear the neighbors and their concerns. Thanks for coming out and letting us know, but those are going to need to be raised if this comes back for site plan approval. We're not there yet. This is conceptual. This is the developer coming in and saying, hey, does this fit? Do you think we could move forward? And we're saying, yeah, we can move forward. We think it could fit. Doesn't mean it's an approval. And that more detail that I keep hearing people want is not what happens at this level. And that will happen in the next round if this project comes back through. So keep those questions tucked in your pocket and concerns, and come back if we get this application in front of us again. I just want to reiterate, this is not an approval. This isn't moved forward. Ground isn't being broken. It's just a conceptual idea and conversation.
Thank you. Sharon?
I agree, and I do see why it's confusing when we bring conceptual plans twice, and it seems like we're reviewing an application when we're really not. So I understand.
QB?
Yeah, just to reiterate one of the points that was made about the traffic, I felt that the 8 units, there's a lot of stuff crammed into that lot, a lot of driveways, and where's a dumpster going to be, and snow plowing, and where is the other, the singular building, or potentially 2 buildings of 4 each, and reducing the total impervious surface on that lot. I think something better could be done as far as reducing the impervious surfaces that are proposed.
Okay. Anything else? Dusty?
Given its concept, and the applicant has brought 2 concepts in front of us, I think we've expressed as a board anyway, we've expressed our preference for the concept that shows 2 separate buildings for each. I would hope that the applicant has heard some of the commentary from the neighbors and potentially would reevaluating that. But this meets the conceptual level of conceptual discussion, so I don't have an issue with this as a conceptual design. I think all of the details are going to be in the next one. You know, what's the true impact? Can they mitigate the traffic entrance and egress from this new piece? That's all up to the next review. I would offer that interestingly to me, the exact concerns that have been brought up by the members of the public tonight with regards to this application are very similar to the concerns brought up by the neighbors from the Snyder development side when the existing application came before us for development review originally. So it's, I mean, the concerns are valid. They were echoed in the first round, and they're echoed by the current residents in this round. So I think it's worthwhile to bring forward, but I don't see anything that prohibits the applicant from bringing this forward for an actual application.
Okay, thank you. From my perspective, I think that that there has been an awful lot that's been brought up that I think the applicant has to be wary of and would want to make sure that they address in the next round. Certainly, there are a number of items that are listed in the staff report and including the fire chief's questions, and certainly the traffic is going to be a big issue, but that certainly is a part of that next round as well. The highlighting, item 6 about the receiving approval from the city of Essex Junction for additional sewer allocation, I think is going to be large, and I think that there's been an upset about the potential bait and switch issue, which is not within our purview, but probably something the applicant could probably spend a little bit of time at least discussing. But I see nothing here wrong with the application as far as the current conceptual plan. I think it fits within the guidelines of what we're asking for, and it fits within what you're trying to accomplish as a conceptual plan. I see no reason why you can't continue to work on the issues that have been presented here this evening and move forward. Okay.
Do you want to close the public hearing?
Yeah, let's close the public hearing.
So
well, you have a comment before we close it?
Yeah, I'm just
Is this-
curious, it was never, someone brought up why this particular lot is zoned in the way that it is, and that there can't be just a single family. It's mixed use, so isn't theoretically it be allowed to do a business overlay or a residential overlay?
In what's before us this evening is a concept plan for multi-unit, and that is what we're looking at this evening. So,
But the B1 only allows multifamily.
correct.
We cannot, without asking for variances or waivers or what have you. I'm sorry. Propose a single or a duplex.
So in order to do that, there would have to be a zoning change.
That's correct.
Which would go before the planning commission.
That's right.
In order to do that.
Correct.
Yep. So I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay. Moved by Dusty, seconded by Sharon. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. You have your info.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Okay, next item up this evening. We'll give a minute for those that want to clear out. Okay, so I'll remind everybody that we still have a meeting that's in progress. Okay, the next item that we have on our application this evening is continued from, no, we just did that one. ABC, the last one.
Let's not do that over
Let's not do that one again. Is the final PUD plan amendment. Leclerc Woods LLC is proposing 4 additional units to be added to Kodiak Lane, which was approved by PC in May of 2022 for 8 units. Property is located at 1 Leclerc Woods and in the agricultural, residential, or AR district. Staff, how do you say?
So for this particular application, they were looking to just add an additional 4 units. So the staff report is really abbreviated. There were a lot of issues that were already addressed in the previous approval for the 8 units. So the only items that were addressed in the staff report had to do with the new 4 units that were being proposed. So that looked at the dimensional requirements for those 4 units, like the setbacks, were those satisfactory? And then mostly from Public Works perspective, they looked at transportation issues, water and sewer issues, and stormwater issues. For my part of the review, looking at the dimensional requirements, there were no concerns. There's a chart provided in the staff report showing that they satisfy the dimensional requirements. Public Works highlighted some changes that they'd like to see. The applicant had responded to some of those changes, and there's a conditions section at the end that outlines what Public Works would still need to see to have it meet the requirements. But those Public Works seemed satisfied that those could all be conditions for approval rather than having to have the revisions made before a decision could be made. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Board members, questions for staff? Dusty?
None.
Hubie?
I get on line 71, open space was delineated for the previous approval, adequate for up to 13 units. That's just a statement, correct? I mean, that's
correct. It's unchanged.
okay. No, that's just curious about why that was there.
Anything else, Hubie?
I'll have questions later about about some of the plans.
Okay. Sharon?
I have a question about the sewer maintenance, but that's for later.
Okay. Right. Stephanie?
I don't have any questions for staff.
Nick, any questions for staff?
There's mention of a bridge and a bridge impact fee. I'm curious where this bridge is. Is it along Colchester Road or is it on the applicant street?
It's over the railroad track, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's actually on the plan in the top left corner, the site plan.
Is it this? Over the tracks? It's over the tracks?
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, thank you. That was my only question right now.
Okay. Thank you.
It shows on.
Okay. Applicants, if you don't mind speaking into the microphone, identifying yourselves, and let's hear about your application.
Okay, yes. My name is Sean Cunningham from O'Leary Burke Civil Associates. This is Patrick Leclerc, the applicant, as well as Brian. So yeah, just to echo what Ken said, we're adding 4 units to previously approved 8-unit PUD. The road approved, most everything has been approved. Public road. Yeah, we reviewed the staff report, all the conditions, and we're okay with all the conditions. It's quite simple on our end, so we don't have too much to say.
Thank you. Nick, questions for the applicant?
Not at this time.
Stephanie?
Not at this time.
Sharon?
No.
Hubie?
Yeah. On sheet 1 and 2, there's a force main that's shown from the Jarvis property over to a septic area, presuming there's a right-of-way for that and so on, an easement. It appears from, the work, excuse me, it does show on sheets 1 and 2, but sheet 3, the profile, it does not show on that profile. And I know there is the note that's saying that the location of it is not completely clear, it needs to be discovered, I guess, or whatever. And it looks like it's going right through the area of one of those retention areas. And I'm just, my question is, are there requirements to assure that the force main is going to end up being functioning when all of this is done? Is there a requirement from the state that be inspected if there's because it is a force main, you have some latitude here, I guess, but from looking at this, my sense is that it may be in conflict with some of the work that's going to happen there.
Right. So that's why we added the note. It's the approximate location, and it could be moved laterally and vertically to fit in with the proposal, the storm. Probably to put it, underneath kind of more of the bermed area of the stormwater feature, just so it's not going right underneath the lowest point in the gravel wetland.
So again, so the question really is, I guess, that is there how does that relocation how does it have to be approved or accepted or whatever? I mean, I know that any septic system work usually has to be approved and so on. So now with an adjustment in this force main, is that going to require some other requirement or some other approval or permit?
Well, I would say it would fall underneath the wastewater certification for what this property has. So if that force main needs insulation over it, or if it needs to be relocated, the relocated force main would be tested before it gets reconnected, and that would all have to be coordinated with Jarvis. So in my mind, all that falls under the engineer's purview of writing a certification letter for the project when it's completed. In this case specifically, we're required to submit a certification for on-site water and septic, which is what this project has. I feel that falls under that.
Well, so any adjustment to that existing system you feels would fall under the permit that you're going to get for the system for
our
the project.
certification that it was done based on the wastewater rules. But whether that's insulation, whether that's relocating, a pressure pipe that's buried, plastic pipe.
Right.
We don't know where it is exactly. We know we know where the system is. We know where the house is.
Yeah.
We're connecting the
Right.
lines. Never is it that simple.
No.
So, however, we have to deal with that force main during construction. It will be dealt with, but I feel that the engineering certification would not be written on this project unless that force main is moved in a manner that we deemed adequate.
Yeah, and again, you because it is a force main, you haven't got real grades. You got a lot of more latitude.
Go deep with it. Or
yeah, really, that's the. I guess one other question. It's not explicitly for this approval, but I'm curious as to why the original application wasn't for all of the units. What changed? Or was there something that changed as far as stormwater requirements or something, septic requirements?
Nope. The reason for the two-phased approach is Act 250 considerations. So an Act 250 project is 9 units or more, permitted within a 5-year term. And there's certain triggers for Act 250 permits. We've found that now is the time to move forward with this step and not pull this project into an Act 250 project.
Okay, so this would require an Act 250. It would not require
It
an
is
Act
not
250.
because it's phased as as we're proposing it. The permits that have already been obtained have gone by far enough where we're comfortable now asking for an amendment to the PUD at the local level for the additional 4 units.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Anything else, Kubi?
No, that's good. That's it.
Okay.
One question, this might be more for Kent or Brian. With the change in mission from PC to DRB, has the purview or the review of septic moved from the state back to the town, or is it still the purview of the state to approve septic?
My understanding is that's all from the state.
Okay.
It's only gone the other way.
I'm just
More towns are giving it up.
Yeah.
I just want to be clear as we look at something like this that when we start talking about septic and so forth, that to your point of engineering reviews and so forth, that doesn't come to the town for review.
Okay. Thanks. Anything else?
My only question was, and the applicant agreed to this, to retain the services of a licensed water and sewer operator.
Yep.
And I noticed in the conditions there's no time frame And it was mentioned by Public Works that at least 2 years, but so how does that work? Do we give a time frame? Always up to 10 years? I think 2 years is too short, because they're never going to be able to get sewer there.
I was thinking that that was going to be always, that you'd have.
Yeah, I would like that.
Right.
Because there's no way to get sewer there, ever, really.
Right.
What condition number were you looking?
17. I want it to be clear. I don't know if it's clear.
Well, this is the management of the system that we're installing, the on-site
Right,
system.
right.
Yeah.
I was just talking about the conditions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Condition 17, not.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're recommending an adjustment to that condition?
Well, I just, I'm not quite sure how to word it so that it's clear that it's.
What's missing?
Maybe nothing.
No,
I'm just, unless we want to say something for the life of the project, it doesn't put a minimum on there, so.
Okay.
And they've got to meet state requirements and just provide the contact information to the town, so I feel it's covered.
It sounds forever to you. I just want to, I'm just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's the way I see it too. Yeah, I think the way it's worded says that the state is going to require that.
Okay. Thanks. That's all I had.
Okay. Okay. Any further discussion?
I have one other regarding the conditions. Number 5. Is this something new here where, for review and the DRB chair's signature? That sounds like that's an enforcement process, not a part of the DRB process.
You're talking about applicant shall submit the
Right.
Mylar and 3 paper
Right.
copies? That's
Right.
definitely part of the process.
Part of the enforcement process, not a part of the approval process.
It always has been for a Mylar
Yeah.
for a Mylar to be filed.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, they need to file it, but does the DRB chair need to sign it?
Yes.
Always, right?
Always.
Used to be the PC chair had to sign the Mylar before it could be filed, and now that responsibility is passed to the.
I can tell you by my mileage to this office that it's absolutely a yes.
Okay, so that is a requirement then, all right.
Yeah.
Again, sounds like enforcement to me. But
Well, we're.
It's more I think in this particular case, it's more the timing, and I don't.
Well, we're.
That might be phrased in other ways, that it just has to be signed in order to, I mean, it's talking about when the deadline for submission has to be, so I think it's just
Just a note about the timeline.
yeah.
Well, we're asking that. Number 19, do we always write at the discretion of the zoning administrator, or so as-built plans aren't always submitted to the community development department? I was just wondering what would stimulate the zoning administrator to do that.
They're the ones that issue the certificate of occupancy, the CO, so that's a potential condition
So
that,
is that always in there? The option versus shall submit?
I can't say that I've personally seen the as-built plans condition
Okay.
before.
Yeah.
I don't mean to butt in, but there's no Mylar recording for this approval.
Okay.
So this is an amendment. The only Mylar recording was established in the right of way. I think
Oh,
this
thank
is
you.
likely a holdover. So I think you can just strike 5.
Because it was stemming from the original.
I believe so, yeah.
Actually, if you look at the last sentence, it's including but not limited to : and then there's nothing. Oh, that's number 6.
Where are
Under
you?
6. Yeah. Yes, I saw that.
Oh.
Yes. In
I
6.
missed that.
Yeah. I actually highlighted that one. Yeah.
Just put whatever we want in there?
That's what I said. Yeah.
So actually, if Kent supports that, then 5 and 6 both could be struck.
Yeah, and as I'm looking at this, is that also for 7 also?
Yes, it's in 7 too.
And 8.
Yep.
So anything that has
Mylar.
Mylar on it.
And while we're on 7,
You can leave your mask on.
we've got
Wow.
concrete
You're
monuments
just
again.
fine.
That's what I.
No, it's fogging up my glasses. I can pick one
I
or
don't
the other.
care.
Yeah.
I'll wipe them off for you.
Yeah. It's not
I have to get
COVID.
close to them in order to do that.
I know.
Okay.
So we have scratching 5, 6, 7, and 8. 5, 6, 7, 8. Any other discussion?
Well, 7 does, it's not talking about just recording the Mylar, but it's talking about installing concrete monuments and lot markers.
Again.
Well,
I suspect that's already been done,
I was
but
going to say condition 1 should cover that. Condition 1, condition 2.
Right.
And are they concrete monuments?
Well, here they likely are. It's a road.
With a public road, probably.
Yep.
so we're striking 5, 6, and 7 then, is that correct?
That's what I understood.
And 8.
And 8.
And 8. Yep, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Anything that says minor.
Yep. I think I would take a motion to open this to the public.
So moved.
Thank you, Dusty. I have a
Second.
seconded by Hubie. All those in favor of opening this to the public, say aye.
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 So moved 6-0. Do we have anyone in the room that would have like an opportunity to speak about this particular application? Seeing no hands, how about online? Yes, we have one. Hey, Brittany, I am going to recognize you. Can you make sure that you turn your camera on, turn your mic on, and put your hand down?
And identify yourself.
Hi, I'm Brittany Crissetti. I live on Discovery Road. First comment is more just to make sure that process is followed so that all abutting landowners are properly notified. My notice is still going to the prior landowner, so I just want to make sure that is happening properly. My next question is regarding the common space. I know that was a discussion from the last meeting back in 2022. It lists all of the land as, as being common space. However, a large portion of that is not actually accessible from the land that this PUD is going to be built on. So I just want to understand how that is being overcome, that we're being able to add additional lots onto that, even though they're not actually, we'll be able to access that as common land.
Okay, thank you. Gentlemen, you have a response?
Question to go along with that. Is that being categorized as common land or conservation?
Conservation. We already set it aside as conservation. That was what the.
Can you, I don't mean to bother, but thank you.
Patrick Leclerc, 324
Yep.
South Bay. Yeah, that was, this has been a long time, and yes, that was, because we had a terrain issue going up, talking about some comments, so the planning commission, we had decided that it would be conservation land, and instead of always coming in and adding more units and then adding more conservation land to accommodate those units, we sat down with staff a couple of years ago and just said, you know what, this was our master plan, this is how many units we're going to have, so we're just going to set aside all the conservation land now, so we don't have to keep adding on to that. And that's already been done and set aside and recorded.
Okay. And was it noted, I'll have to go back through the staff report, but was it noted as conservation land or was it noted as common land? That
Conservation land.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there were some sensitive natural areas that they didn't want, the planning commission at the time did not want people in that area.
Okay. Dusty, satisfied?
Yeah, that was my recollection, and I just wanted to make sure that was staff and applicant.
So it's
were
not
correct.
supposed to be accessible because conservation land. I mean,
my recollection from actually walking the site is that there is no easy access to it, and the only way in was coming down from the parcel directly off from Lemoore Road, and at the time it had been under construction from work on the circ, and it wasn't intended as an access point. It just had the natural contours that you could get into it. Otherwise, it was very rough, very wet, and very natural.
And steep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing no hands online, seeing no hands here in the room, I'd take a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved by Nick, seconded by Sharon. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Motion carries 6-0. Okay. Further discussion amongst the board here. Nick, any other questions?
No, I'll just add to Hubie's point a little earlier that the item number 5 that we might be striking, I've never had to sign anything like that on the zoning board, so it must be a planning commission carryover, not a zoning board protocol that we ever did. So
Yeah,
probably the
ZBA I think would have
difference.
been, because that would have been, town administrator would have handled it from
Right.
afterwards. It was just a vote by the ZBA
Right.
to approve or.
It's
Yep.
Mylars, so
Correct.
it's got to be
It's
a
Mylars.
subdivision or property line
Right.
adjustment. Like that's what I just gave Brittany. It's a
Yep.
Mylar for the
Right.
boundary line adjustment.
Right.
Ian hopefully will sign it before he leaves.
So Hubie, you weren't wrong. It was just something we've never did on the
Right,
ZBA.
yeah. No, like I say.
But I guess we
familiar
are
with
the
process.
ZBA now, so.
Yeah, we're not. Well,
yeah, there
we're
isn't
the baby of the ZBA.
So-
PC,
PRB and,
whatever you wanna-
and I signed them. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
But no, I have no other questions.
Thanks.
Or comments.
Stephanie?
Nope.
Yeah. Sharon?
No.
Hubie?
No.
Ask him again.
Dusty?
No, I'm good.
Okay, thank you.
Don't be a smart ass.
Help it.
You paused.
That's why you guys are sitting next to each other.
Somebody's got to ask the questions.
Okay. That being said, I would take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Seconded.
We have a motion to approve by Hubie, seconded by Sharon. Any further discussion?
And that includes striking 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Correct.
Right.
That would include striking during the discussion. We are going to strike 5, 6, 7, and 8. I do also want to comment that I genuinely appreciated, being that this is an older application that came before us, having the back and forth conversations highlighted in different colors made it really easy to follow
Yeah, that was
what
really
had happened over the time. So very much appreciated. Thank you very much, staff.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of approval of this application with the elimination of conditions 5, 6, 7, and 8, please say aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hope you feel better, Ken.
We're not done yet.
done.
But we're not done yet. We
But
still have
anyway,
business.
Oh, okay.
See, we still have business.
My mother's waiting.
Oh, well, you. Okay. We are on now to other business. I had 2 items that I misplaced. I guess one is not going to be taken care of this evening. So the only other item that we have is a while back we had the opportunity to talk about our training that was going to be coming in from VLCT, and we asked that everybody send in their questions or things that areas of concern to the staff. Pass it along. And everyone did, and I just wanted to make sure this was the evening that we were going to touch base with everybody and make sure that we're all in agreement with all of the questions that we want to be we're hoping to address with the attorney, which is our next meeting on November 20th. So we have for our questions, we had the overview of a DRB function, we had waivers and how the law looks at waivers, the process for appealing to environmental court, which we've just learned. How a town plan should be worked into the review, or should it? Best practices, personal investigative action on the application. For example, conducting personal research on an organization or visiting a piece of property. This seems to happen quite frequently, and someone had operated under the guidelines that our body should either conduct this type of work together or not at all. So that is a great question, as whether or not we're able to individually take a look at pieces of property or an organization. Running a meeting the right way, I certainly would like that help. The roles of the chair and the clerk, Robert's rules, engaging with the public and conflict resolution, and what the DRB agrees the rules and regs mean, as that comes up often with things like slopes and waivers. To that end, I want to remind everybody that we do have a meeting coming up that will be with the Planning Commission. So
Next week?
Next week, I think, yeah. So that we can have a conversation. We are on their agenda as part of that agenda to speak with them about our concerns about the regulations, about slopes and waivers, but steep slopes and buffers, I think, were the two big ones that we had asked for some help from the Planning Commission specifically. So don't forget that that's next week, not your regularly scheduled channel. Beyond that, do we have anything else that we would like to make sure that the attorney and the folks from VLCT are aware of that we feel we could use some assistance with? I'll start with you, Nick.
One item I considered, and this might actually be something that we would address in our charter or something like that. But anyway, I'm going to present it.
Sure.
So if chairman is absent, vice chairman is absent, and clerk is absent, we still could potentially have a quorum. Who would lead that meeting?
That's a good question.
That's a great question.
So that's my only question.
Wow. Good effort.
Because that almost happened.
Yep. Chair, vice chair, secretary missing.
Not that this would be for this, but Nick's comment made me think of it, and I want to put it on the record. I do think we should be asking the select board for an alternate for DRB, because if we would have had an alternate, we wouldn't have had to have canceled our last meeting potentially. So we had one on the PC. We don't have one here. And so I'm wondering, and it does say that they can appoint one.
I think it also says that the PC can appoint one.
So I'm thinking that that's something we should think about, is because we seem to have a lot of applications come through. It's just kind of...
That's a lot of volunteers to expect to get. That's the only issue we already, have 14 people to get to volunteers. We used to only need 7.
Well,
no, I agree with you.
I'm just saying we need one more alternate to be part of the DRB. So
I totally agree. I just think that's a lot of volunteers. Like if we had 2 boards that were 5 members like other towns, that would probably work.
I mean, well, we had the ZBA and we had the PC, and I was on both. So I was the alternate on the PC for a while. So, I mean, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. I just wanted to put it out there that I think this board should have an alternate because of what we do and the impact that it actually has on the applicants.
So how does that happen? You talk to the select board?
I don't know.
I think it's covered in our procedures and or the procedures that the town was putting forth. But I think there's the capacity for an alternate is built into our rules of our operating rules of procedure. Whether it's a long-term request from the DRB or the chair, I think we've got the capability of having a.
Yeah, I'll take that on and research to see if we can create that, and if so, if we need to request it from select board to be appointed, we would have to have staff send out requests for volunteers in order to do that.
Just from a historical perspective, the number of times that was required for the PC was over decades was minimal. I mean, really minimal. The real impetus for a alternate on the PC was when one member of the PC was going to be relocating to Korea for a year. And that was the driver to get an alternate in, and it just happened to be helpful to keep that alternate. And as somebody who was willing to attend meetings and just stay informed, it was very functional. But it wasn't
they have to attend all the meetings too, because you have to keep up on everything.
No, they don't have to attend them all. I mean, it's helpful if they do.
Watch them, yeah.
I mean, understanding it's a benefit, but the need for it happened very, very, very infrequently. So it's one of those things that it shouldn't be necessarily a top priority. If we can get somebody, number one, it potentially provides somebody in training for turnover for when terms come up if there's not a complete renewal.
Yep. It's a good idea as far as that.
Not a top priority, but it did pop into my head the other week when we canceled because we had no quorum.
You were the alternate extraordinaire showing up for everything all the time.
And I was always on.
And you were always on. That's correct. Because you were, during PC, I remember there was one of the board member, the commissioners was out for an extended period of time and you didn't cover. So, yep. It's a good idea. I will research if it's already in our operating agreement, if you will, and check in on that. I'll report back to you guys next meeting. So, not next week because that's not our next meeting, but it's our next meeting. So,
could reduce the board size to 5 too.
We could. Yep.
Be a lot easier to get volunteers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. We
I
could.
don't think it would. It's not the number. It's not the number of seats on the board that's driving it. It's the number of people who want to do it.
Yeah.
There's always been a challenge to get people to step up to try to, whether there's 5 or 7 seats to be filled.
And there wouldn't be as much crossover because they're sort of like both boards are identical.
Well, that's going to change through attrition. And they're not identical.
They're not.
But even when there was a single board, it wasn't that there was crossover. It was just that there wasn't a significant number of people who wanted to step up. I mean, between the ZBA and the PC and all the other boards, it just.
We wouldn't have 10 people versus 14 be easier.
I don't know
we have 14 now. So and we hear quite regularly from former board members that come to when they have something that they want to say. But there are a lot of former board members or planning commission members or select board members, and they're former for a reason generally.
Yeah.
They're done. So I'm not.
I probably won't be one when I'm 72. Whenever this thing ends.
So I have 2 additions to this would be chair, vice chair, and secretary missing. Who runs the meetings if there's a quorum that's available? So that's a great question. Make sure that we add that to our list for them. The secondary question about the alternate, I'll take care of and research that. That doesn't need to be for VLCT.
No, it doesn't.
Is there anything else that we want?
Well, just along that same line, and I'm not sure, but I think that in Robert's rules, if you have a meeting and you do not have a quorum, that the people that are there can still discuss topics but cannot take any action.
Correct.
Okay, so
you can't even open a meeting though.
Yeah.
You can't if you don't have a quorum. You can't even open a meeting. And then if you have discussions outside of the meeting, it's ex parte.
Well, I guess that would need to be clarified in Robert's rules.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Yep. So I'll put a dash on the Rabbit's rules, and we'll add if it's less than a quorum, does the meeting need to be canceled, or can it even be opened?
So there's 2 questions on here that I think we need to be a little more granular before we just throw them at whatever the lawyer or the VLCT. Best practices. What is that? What does that mean? Best practices for what? That's a very broad statement without really giving any sort of direction as to best practices. What are we looking for? And does that fall?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think I was going to answer that. I think what that is that if you look at the Vermont League of Cities and Towns, they have a list of ideas and best practices, like how to run the meeting and so on. So I think that's what that might mean.
So it's kind of running the meeting the right way.
That's what I was going to lead to. Are we talking about running the meeting? Are we talking about interpreting Robert's rules? Because that's the other piece. I don't know if it's still in our operating procedures because I don't have them memorized. But originally, in the PC world, Robert's rules was used as a reference, but not as the meeting guideline.
Yeah.
It was used as a reference
standard,
point
yeah.
for if there was a question mark or for how to how to approach something if there was a conflict.
Yep.
But it wasn't, because meetings were not followed exactly by Robert's rules, and I don't think we were following exactly by Robert's rules. I'm not sure who the expert would be, but that's a whole nother layer of
It's a big
protocol. Yeah, I've seen it.
I have the 12th edition and the dummy one, and I still don't get it.
Yeah. So I think that's something, if we're talking about Robert's rules, are we looking at, do we want to know how to use them? Do we want to know how to leverage them? Do we want to know how to adapt them? So again, just a little more granularity on what it means to throw it in here.
I'd also like to ask, if we have the attorney question, is I was reading the Vermont statutes, and we always say we don't decide who an interested person is. And the statute says we do. And like, how? So I'd sort of like to know that, like, if we're supposed to decide, you know, you're an interested person, you're not. I'd like them to say how, if we do that, or how we do that.
I think it's our practice, right, that anyone that comes and speaks and gets on the record and has their information on file, signs in, we allow them to be considered an interested person and if should something go further than that, then like if it is an appeal, then the courts decide who actually is an interested person.
Well, they decide that they decide they're not. But I was just thinking the situation, like, and I hope we're rarely going to have it like the Skinnell application, for instance. If we decided who interested persons are, and 20 people from Montpelier come to read a poetry or whatever, I know that.
So I understand what you're saying.
So we really should
happen.
We really should separate them, you know, so that the interested persons get their say, and I think that would stop a lot of litigation problems and continue.
So it qualifies like what our sign in is.
And continuation, you know, because you know we don't need to have things continued four times.
Even if we don't make the determination, if we at least capture the information for the courts to make a determination.
Correct.
Right.
Future review.
Yeah, we don't want to mislead someone to think that they're an interested person and they haven't followed some step that makes them an interested person.
Yep.
So just a question.
Yeah.
And the other thing that was brought up by one of the members of the public tonight is the interpretation of consent and so forth. I mean, that might fall under, you know, running the meeting the right way. It might fall under best practices, but.
So I missed that. What did?
Consent.
The consent agenda.
We've got consent. We've added consent agenda, and we've added requirements for it or criteria for it.
We don't have a consent agenda anymore.
Okay, but there's a question about how was it interpreted, and it has been used in the past. So the person online asked tonight, you know, what does that mean for past?
Yeah, I am totally for that question, because I was wondering about, we've done quite a few, and sometimes I look back, like in 2023, you would approve 2 or 3 applications at one time with one vote. Like, were those really approved?
So I think the question is,
because we didn't vote on the application, we voted on the consent agenda.
Correct.
I think that's an issue, which is a good question.
I don't know that it is, and I think that's the question: is past, or
Right.
is or are past consent agenda interpretations up for reinterpretation, or are we protected? I mean, is it that's as deep as I want to get to it, because I think that we had a process and we followed the process, but are we now open to reinterpretation of those past consent approvals? So I'm not arguing against you. I'm not getting that granular.
I felt that way all along, that we shouldn't have been approving development applications within consent agenda. So I am worried that some of these weren't validly approved. So that's a question, and you have a question, and I have a question. So that's a great.
They're not. I don't think they're that. I think they're basically the same question.
Yep.
Okay, I just want to.
I think they really are the same question. I'm just not trying to get that deep into it yet.
Right.
So
we only have
on a broad band, on a broad look, is the adjustment that we've made now, where there's no consent agenda item. Does that mean that anything that's been done prior is open to interpretation about not being approved correctly?
Yeah, and I'd like to know what the VLCT the reason the VLTC told staff that we couldn't use it anymore.
No.
What was that? So that would, we might not even have to talk to them.
Yeah.
Well, to go to 10,000 feet here is the question, what is an administrative approval and what needs to come before the board? Okay.
That's a good question too.
So I think the regulations are fairly clear in that, but maybe they're not. Because apparently there was some question about that with consent items, right? So.
And with that, does everything follow like we did tonight? We did the boundary line, we did the conceptual. Are all those, is everything now a public
hearing?
Right.
public hearing. So
Does that mean every adjustment needs to come before us?
not
in
even
the public?
but is everything in the public? Do we have to have open a public hearing on everything when we're not like the conceptual agenda? Did we need? It was in a section identified as public hearing.
Correct.
We have to for conceptual, but that would be.
But let's ask.
But
Yeah.
it was in the public hearing section. So
Right.
conceptual to me would have been a conversation and even open, allowing conversation from the public if we chose. But because we were in a section, our agenda was set up for a public hearing section. That's why.
Should we close it for each application? That would be a question I would ask, like open, close. So this is for this application.
Or do we just need to change the heading to applications? And then decide whether or not something is
Oh, yeah, and then conceptual plan wouldn't.
and again, it's word, and that might not be a VLCT thing, or it might be under best practices.
Right.
And I'm focusing on the wording of the agenda that we had tonight.
We better do an outline so this doesn't, so we can finish this in one meeting.
Yes.
It might not be them. I mean, it might be us. But
Might be
again,
us. Yeah. But it's worth validating whether or not that is a direction that we can take.
a lot of this is under running the meeting right away. Are we talking about the management of the meeting? Are we talking about the flow of the applications and so forth? So that again gets to.
I think we're talking about off in the chair.
Yeah, it's all on you.
Well, in that regard, okay, I want to come back to the chair having to sign a Mylar. So when you sign a Mylar, do you look at that Mylar and look back at the meeting and find all the conditions that were existing and all of the adjustments that were required by the Public Works Department and assure that all of those things are correct in that Mylar?
Quite honestly, I trust the town staff that those items have been taken care of.
You
so.
see, that's where I'm coming from. Is to me, that is.
I feel like at some point you have to trust the people that are doing the work.
Well, yeah, I guess that's what I'm saying is that that is now an enforcement aspect of the process, in that signing the Mylar, you're suggesting that you've approved everything, okay, and
I check to make sure that I know what project I'm signing.
Yeah.
And so I look at the Mylar.
I'm not faulting you. Okay, I'm saying the process, to me, it doesn't seem realistic. It seems that once the adjustments have been made to the Mylar, the conditions have been met, and so on, that administratively, the enforcement is going to look at it and say, yes, they've met the requirement as that what was approved. Okay.
So that would
And
be
I
a
don't
question
think
potentially
that's-
for the town clerk. Do they
and I
need to
don't-
have, is that signing by the chair a artifact of our town's internal process, the board's internal process, or a clerk's requirement? Because that's a long-standing process that's been in place for any Mylar.
It probably just means it's finalized and doesn't really.
No, I know what it means, that, but it's the requirement for it.
Yeah.
I think to your point, Hubie, is the chair signing it a redundant action?
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, because we would hope that the town has administratively has reviewed it and applied the appropriate enforcement.
I think it's state
and said
statute that
those
chair-
trees are not the right size. or
So
whatever.
that might be more, again, whether or not the chair needs to sign it might be more of a question for the town clerk, the keeper of the records. Because is it their statute that they need
He
to
asked
have
the
a chair?
same question about the final approval, not even the Mylar are the same thing.
No, the Mylar is what goes, the Mylar is a map that goes in. So, that's the piece that gets filed in the town record. The final approval, I don't believe gets filed in the town record. It stays in the
Doesn't,
community
right?
development
It
office.
stays upstairs.
Yeah, but the Mylar goes into the land map, parcel map, whatever you want, whatever the.
So we do a memorandum that'll say it was approved on this date, and it'll reference either PC year and number or DRB year and number. So it does go into the land records that there was an approval, but the physical,
That's
multiple
interesting, because
pages does
something
not.
Like what we were just talking about, having a certified sewer water operator is required by the HOA, but it's not in the land records. So no one would know when you did title search that was a requirement.
Well, that's good. That's going to be part of the. I believe our conditions talked about an HMO
HOA,
HOA, that's going to have to be reviewed and approved and so on, and I would think that those requirements for the stormwater inspection, et cetera, would be included in
and the
that.
zoning administrator would look at the HOA?
Well, it's
No,
going
the attorney does.
it's going to be filed and the attorney's going to be reviewed. I think that's where that would fall.
The attorney reviews it. Yep.
I have to go. Could we,
I think that's fair.
could we motion something?
I would love to take a motion to close the meeting.
So moved.
Okay.
Okay, I second that.
You have an audience someone.
Oh,
Yes, ma'am.
We have a motion to we have a-
We're gonna pause. I'm asking, would you mind rescinding your motion for the moment so we can hear what what she had her hand up for?
Hi, Cheryl Van Epstein, Rustic Drive. I
question
wanted,
still is whether or not I'm still questioning this, because we were in other business, and we were in PC business. We weren't talking about other things at this stage. So,
Yep.
if you have a short list, Ms. Van Epps, I would rescind. But otherwise, I think we're beyond the public participation point.
my mother
Short list.
told me to pick her up.
very short.
Then I rescind my motion to.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I rescind my second, I think.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Both motions have been rescinded. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, thanks. I was hoping you would have a discussion with the Planning Commission about steep slopes and perhaps a workshop. I heard you mention that was on
That is correct.
a
It's next
discussion
week.
on board. So yeah, workshop with the public participation would be great.
I'm
Other-
not sure it's as much of a workshop as it is a conversation between the DRB and the Planning Commission about what the DRB is seeing and requests for. We'll be requesting that there are some updates on the regulations to give us a little more clarity.
Okay, would public participation be?
Public, it'll
That'll
be
be up
part
to
of the
the
public meeting. It's up to the PC. It's not our meeting. So we're just there requesting some information.
Okay. I'm trying to stay focused. What you were discussing there, I was wondering if you could ask the Vermont League of Towns and Cities about liability for a fail. If you were to approve a build and there was a fail, harm to the public, who's liable for that? So that was one of the questions I wanted.
Yeah, I would.
No.
You certainly add that as a possible question. I would think that if there is a fail in a build, it's going to go to the developer and the insurance company that covered the developer. But
Okay, and if you signed off on it.
correct, they would have to build it correctly, regardless. So.
Okay. And the other thing is, the last thing, I would recommend there's training online according to the Vermont State Commission. I've got the wrong glasses on. Commission of Ethics, and I scrolled through their website. They have some discussion videos where witnesses came from all over Vermont municipals, and they discuss the ethics issues going on in their planning commissions, their select boards, and their DRBs. I highly recommend you all take a listen to it. I heard a number of issues that I think we witness here in our own. So I highly recommend checking into
If you have
the
some
training
ethics
too.
issues, I would strongly recommend that you make sure you bring those up and bring them to staff's attention immediately.
Sure.
If you have any ethics questions whatsoever, please make sure you forward that information
I have
right
to
away.
say the ethics training, we were all required to take it.
Yep.
Okay, great.
It's required by law that do we have to take it every year or just
Yes.
the one time?
I think it's every year.
Once a year, I think.
So we have to take the ethics training, watch that video every year.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Thank
So
you.
moved.
We have a motion to close the meeting. Do we have a second?
Second.
I have another question.
Okay.
Motion's on the table.
Yeah, well, it's up for discussion, right?
Nope. Actually, motion to
Motion to
close
adjourn
not a
is to
discussion.
adjourn.
Okay, fine, shut me off. I'll ask the question after the meeting is adjourned.
That works.
That works.
Yeah, because it's not ex parte to just talk about
Exactly.
Except all of us.
So I have a motion to adjourn. I have a second to adjourn. All those in favor of adjourning for the evening, say aye. Aye. And motion carries 6-0. This meeting is adjourned.
Somebody.